You ever had somebody tell you, straight-faced, you're under citizen's arrest for unauthorized grilling? Because that sentence, yelled across my own backyard, lit the fuse on the wildest summer I've ever survived, and I've been a county sheriff for 15 years, so that's saying something. It was a soft Carolina Saturday, birds chirping, ribs sizzling, sweet tea sweating on the porch rail. Perfect. Until the HOA queen herself, Karen Bellamy, goose-stepped through my gate with 3 wannabe mall cops in khaki shorts and dollar store aviators. She jabbed a manicured finger at the smoke curling off my grill and barked, "Seize the suspect," like she thought she was on a SWAT DOCA series. Before I could flip the next rack, Brad and Todd, plus the third guy whose name forever escapes me, snapped plastic cuffs on my wrists. Now, I could have ended the circus right there, badge in my back pocket, cruiser parked 1 street over, but I let the scene play out, mostly because it felt like the universe had queued up a comedy just for me. 10 minutes later, Deputy Maria's patrol car came around the bend, lights on, siren whooping. She slammed the brakes, stared at me in disbelief, then at the trio wrestling the sheriff like they'd bagged Bigfoot. Brad's face drained white. Todd whispered that this was above his pay grade. Karen puffed up, even bigger. "Officers, arrest him again. He's impersonating law enforcement to evade HOA accountability." Maria uncuffed me, handed the zip ties back to Brad like returning a chewed fetch toy, and said, "Ma'am, you just detained the elected sheriff on his property." The neighborhood crowd, phones out, ribs burning, kids gaping, erupted in nervous laughter. Karen, undeterred, thrust a clipboard citation into my palm. Violation 5B, weaponized barbecue emissions. That was my hook. That was the moment I realized Karen's flimsy rulebook wasn't just annoying. She'd built a whole shadow kingdom on fear, fake bylaws, and HOA dues. So I smiled, showed the crowd my badge, and said, "Ma'am, detaining me is unlawful. And impersonating police? That's a felony." Karen's eyes flickered. First crack in the armor, but she doubled down, promising legal doom, promising elections, promising to clean up this community. I let her bluster because Act 1 was done. The conflict was on the table, and now it was time to flip the script. I spent the next week quietly collecting stories, knocking on doors between patrol calls. Turns out Karen's reign went way deeper than grill smoke. A retired teacher had been fined for a flagpole that predated the HOA. A single mom shelled out cash noise fees for her kid's birthday party. A vet got dinged for installing a wheelchair ramp without Form 27B. Nobody fought back because the citation letters looked official, gold seal, legal-sounding jargon, but they were handwritten in Comic Sans for crying out loud. Fear is funny like that. Dress it in a blazer and people think it's law. The twist dropped on a humid Tuesday when a tech-savvy neighbor, Jason, called me over. He caught a rogue drone tracing grid lines over our houses, high-end model, live audio feed, night vision. We traced the control signal straight to the HOA clubhouse. On the memory card, footage of my porch, my deputies, even snippets of my DEA phone calls. Karen wasn't just nosy, she'd wandered into federal surveillance territory. That drone, nicknamed Skyhawk in the HOA logs, turned our backyard beef into a criminal investigation. With Jason's files in hand, I looped in the district attorney, then met the HOA treasurer, Julie, at a diner off Highway 86. Julie had a flash drive trembling in her purse. Budgets, emails, receipts. 45 grand in neighborhood beautification, actually bought golf carts painted SWAT black, pepper spray labeled Karen Mist, and Brad's 3-day tactical escalation workshop, complete with souvenir selfies beside a cardboard terrorist that read Hostile Grill Operator. More damning were Karen's emails. Need intel on sheriff before he weaponizes badge. Collect evidence of smoke violations. Prepare Phase 2. Curfew authority. That was enough. We secured a warrant, rolled county investigators, and, on a dew-soaked dawn, rolled up to the clubhouse. Real uniforms, no duct tape lights, no dying goose siren. Karen waddled outside in a pink robe, clutching a boss lady mug, screaming municipal sovereignty, internet law buzzwords, and threats to appeal, to a federal HOA. Investigators filed past her, boxing up hard drives, spreadsheets, the drone, and, inside a locked closet, a corkboard war room straight out of a conspiracy thriller. Neighborhood map, red string, photos labeled compliant, problematic, and under my face, surveillance target. The raid was Act Two's crescendo. Power drained from Karen faster than a leaky kiddie pool, and the neighborhood, once cowed, tasted oxygen. At a public town hall, I laid out the facts. No speeches, just truth. I admitted I'd slept on the problem until it mugged me with a spatula, apologized for that, then detailed every fake fine, every drone flight, every HOA dollar Karen siphoned into her private fiefdom. Residents lined up to share stories, wind chime violations, driveway color citations, even a teenager fined because her Toyota disrupted visual harmony. Each account hammered another nail in Karen's clipboard throne. When the grand jury returned indictments, illegal surveillance, fraud, impersonation, Karen opted to defend herself. Day one of the trial, she strutted in like a TED Talk villain, binder labeled Freedom versus Tyranny, quoting TikTok lawyers, cross-examining neighbors about lawn shame and mailbox repaint schedules. The judge indulged her for 72 bewildering hours, then clipped, "Miss Bellamy, this is a court of law, not your personal podcast." The jury took 6 hours, guilty on 6 counts. Sentence? 800 hours community service under sheriff supervision, lifetime ban from any HOA office, full restitution of misused funds. No orange jumpsuit martyrdom, just fluorescent vest, trash grabber, and a weekly appointment to scrub actual patrol cars. Act 3 wasn't fireworks. It was quiet transformation. Valley Oak elected a gentle soul named Nina as interim president. Her first moves: cancel bogus fines, refund victims, publish open budgets, invite volunteers to replant the community garden. Brad, humbler after civics classes and a plea deal, now scans pool passes instead of households. Kids ride bikes again without helmet inspection patrols. Wind chimes tinkle. Flags wave. Grills smoke freely. Sometimes too freely, but nobody's calling in airstrikes. One evening I'm back in my own smoker, glaze glistening, when Nina drops off a peach pie as thanks. Across the cul-de-sac, a block party thrums. Music, food trucks, laughter that doesn't need permission slips. Then I spot her, Karen, orange vest glowing under streetlights, plucking litter with a picker stick. She avoids my eyes, pride bruised, power gone. But she's not dangerous anymore, just ordinary. And in that ordinariness lies the lesson that sucker punched me harder than any clipboard. Authority borrowed from fear collapses the second courage walks in the room. Real power, the kind that sticks, is granted by trust, exercised with humility, and measured in service, not citations. So here's the moral I carry like a badge inside my chest. Watch the little rules that sneak past your common sense. The paper shields bullies hide behind. The moments you shrug because it's just the HOA, just policy, just the way things are. Tyranny rarely kicks down the door first. It usually slides a form under it and asks for a signature. Karen thought she ran our neighborhood. What she never understood is that a community, like a grill, only burns bright when everyone shares the fire. Try to smother it with bylaws. You just choke yourself on the smoke. Now the ribs are done, the stars are out, and Valley Oak finally feels like home again. A patch of earth where rights and responsibilities sit side by side like lawn chairs at sunset. But I gotta ask you, neighbor, where's the line between keeping order and hoarding control? When does a rule protect and when does it oppress? Ever met a Karen who crossed that line in your world? Tell me your story. Let's hash out justice over charcoal and conversation. Because freedom, like barbecue, tastes better when we all bring something to the table. And let me leave you with one last slice of aftermath. Because stories like this don't freeze frame the moment the gavel drops. They rip all through the next, season like barbecue, smoke curling over the treetops. About 6 months after the trial, Valley Oak threw its first real Independence Day bash. Not the stiff, clipboard-approved community unity hour Karen once demanded, but a full tilt, bring your own chair celebration. Kids chalked murals across the cul-de-sac. Somebody's granddad led a ragged marching band of kazoos down Maple Drive, and the empty lot that used to host Karen's tactical briefings now bloomed with food trucks and a dunk tank painted in neon stars. I spent the afternoons slipping between conversations, checking on the smokers, dabbing sauce on a brisket big enough to qualify for its own zip code. Every few minutes, someone tugged my sleeve just to say thanks, not for arresting Karen, but for reminding folks the law was theirs too. I kept answering the same way. I just lit the match. You all kept the fire going. Near sunset, the sky went lavender, heat lightning jumping on the horizon, and the DJ cut the music so a little girl named Abby could read a poem she'd written about freedom. She was 8, braces already glinting, voice quavery as she described, a place where rules help, not hurt, and neighbors feel safe to sing. The entire block hushed, adults blinking fast against tears. Funny how a child can nail what 1,000 bylaws miss. That's when Karen re-entered the scene, orange vest, trash picker, court-mandated grin. She trailed a county supervisor, logging her community service hours, eyes flicking anywhere but the party. Nobody booed, nobody jeered. Ignoring her was louder. She paused by the dunk tank where a cardboard likeness still stood, citation in hand. For a heartbeat, I thought she might rip it down, but instead she sighed, plucked a stray napkin from the grass, and shuffled on. Later, fireworks erupted. Red chrysanthemums, silver spiders, gold willows waterfalling over the lake, and the crowd oohed in unison. I leaned against my pickup, arms folded, smelling gunpowder and grilled corn, and felt that rarest of sensations, a chapter closing clean. Justice hadn't landed like a hammer. It settled like fresh paint over rotten wood, sealing the rot, giving the neighborhood room to breathe. But lessons linger, don't they? Because power, real or pretend, always looks for a soft spot to burrow. Maybe tomorrow it's another clipboard tyrant, maybe a slick salesman promising miracle zoning fixes, maybe just apathy letting weeds creep back around our rights. So I keep my badge polished, my smoker seasoned, and my door open, because vigilance doesn't have to taste bitter. It can taste like hickory and brown sugar if we share the work. And that circles me back to you. Somewhere out there, beyond this screen glow, you've got your own HOA Karens, office tyrants, online gatekeepers, folks itching to trade your common sense for their counterfeit authority. Where will you draw the line? Which petty rule will you refuse to swallow? Have you ever pushed back and felt the air clear when truth finally trumped noise? Pull up a chair beside the fire pit of this comment section and tell me. Was it a parking ticket shakedown, a dress code dictatorship, a neighbor who thought property lines were suggestions? Lay it out. Because every story we trade is one more ember the bullies can't stamp out, one more proof that justice, like good barbecue, is best cooked low, slow, and shared with everyone who's hungry for it.